Laptop computer spins onto the screen, opens, and displays ATP Education Program webinar series, closes, and then spins off the screen.
Hi everyone. Today's session is about sensory, low-tech assistive tech options to support sensory needs for students on the autism spectrum disorder. I'm Buti. I've been in the field of disabilities for over 31 years. I was a special education teacher, an autism itinerant, and a special education administrator. I was the director of autism and intellectual disabilities for the Chicago Public Schools. I'm now the proud owner of AIEPA, which stands for Advocate and Instructional Expert for People with Autism. Let's get started. When we think about autism, it is a person with a developmental disability that significantly affects verbal and nonverbal communication and social interaction. It involves engagement in repetitive activities or stereotype movements. They might demonstrate resistance to environmental change or change in daily routines. Some might demonstrate unusual responses to sensory experiences. And that's where we're going to focus today, okay? So some people don't realize that there are actually 7 senses. There's the sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch, vestibular, which is the movement and body sense, movement and balance. And then there's proprioception, which is your body position, the awareness of your body in space. So all of those senses need to be considered when we're thinking about our students with autism. There are some good sensory assessments, like the sensory profile, that can be done in order to really kind of see how the school environment might be impacting them. So possibly an occupational therapist at your school can complete this. It'll really give you some good information about some accommodations that you might be able to implement. So sensory integration, it refers to how people use the information provided by all of those senses coming from within the body and from the external environment. These work together to give us like a reliable picture of the world and our place in it. Because our brain uses information about sights, sounds, textures, smells, tastes, and movement in an organized way, you assign meaning to your senses experiences, right? You know how to respond to them and then behave accordingly. When you have a deficit in this area, some children with disabilities have a great difficulty figuring out what is going on inside and outside of their bodies because they can't rely on their senses to give them an accurate picture of the world. They don't know how to behave in the response, and they may have trouble learning and behaving appropriately based on that maybe inaccurate information. So accommodations should be put in place to help address these sensory deficits. So again, I said you could get some of that from a sensory profile or assessment or observations that can help the student to recognize and manage the sensory deficits or needs by describing what the senses that are overwhelming, what is overloading, what does that look like, and what helps them to either avoid the overloading or to get them back to a regulated place. So I think it's important in your classrooms that you have a calming or a sensory area present and that there are sensory items available. It's a place where a student can go to calm down, to maintain, to control themselves, or even to prevent maybe something from happening. Students should be able to choose the area when needed. There might be some scheduled times as well, but we can't always schedule when a child might need it, or some adult-directed times as well. Sensory materials should be available in this space. And don't forget that we want to address all of the sensory needs. Okay, and you can have some sensory activities kind of embedded into your day, like the heavy workload. So maybe like a really heavy backpack or carrying a crate, and different things like that can be embedded into your day if that's the kind of input that your student might need. So I know you're thinking this looks like my college dorm room. It's not. So a sensory area in a room could be anywhere from having this one on the left has a ball. It has bins with various different items, smelling and touching. It has a swing. So it's just kind of in the corner of the room. The other one has a lot of lights, a lot of textures, and other things like that. Here are some more. You know, some are more elaborate than others. It depends on what your students' needs are, how significant they are, how many students need them. If there's only, you know, 1 or 2 children in your room that might require this, then maybe you don't need as big of an area. Maybe it can be smaller. And some people even have it in a separate space, not in the actual classroom. And if you do that, then you have to have some way for the child to communicate that they need to go there. So I always like to show this picture because it's hard to tell. I wish I had a camera on top of the classroom looking down. This was an early childhood preschool room. And this was literally just a corner of the room, but it literally addressed every area of your senses. She had a little bit of everything in there. So she a very good use of space. So some items you can buy, these like sensory kits that have items that provide various different inputs to your system. So I think the thing I always like to talk about when I'm talking about sensory is that state of regulation, right? All of our goals depend on the student's ability to start, stay, or return to a calm state. So in this case, I'm talking like behavior equaling lack of regulation. And in order to live a fulfilled life, you need to be able to regulate your emotions and your behaviors, right? So it's important to everyone. So I have this like system that I go through when I'm teaching this. So I usually start with number 1, teach to identify emotions and feelings, not their own, just in general. Then I go into teaching your own emotional state. Then I put a color coding on it. And then here's where the sensory strategies come in. I teach strategies to adjust that emotional state. So when I'm here, when I'm feeling this way, this is what I need. There are programs out there, zones of regulation, how does your engine run? There are programs out there, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel or your color coding system. So I'll kind of go over some of them, but you can use any colors you want and any kind of terminology. So I'm going to give you a few just different ideas with that. But what you need to do, you need to be a private eye. You're the sensory private eye. Watch how your students respond to various inputs throughout their school day. Watch what your students gravitate towards. Consult with your OT as well. I definitely think that. But there are little things that we might see that's a huge red flag, or it's just telling you a lot. For example, the kids, obviously, if they put their hands over their ears, okay, what is it in this environment right now that might be too overwhelming? Now, don't think of it as too overwhelming to you, because we may not have as sensitive of, for instance, our hearing. So I've been in a room where a child has their hands on their ears, and it was a fan in the room, a fan that probably half the class didn't even hear, yet it was so loud for this child. I've also had this child that would like duck every time he kind of walked into this room, and you kind of saw the way he moved his eyes. So I was like, ooh, private eye sensory here. Let me see, could that light be too glaring? So we actually got him a baseball hat. Yeah, so it's really watching those things, seeing what you can see, how they're reacting or gravitating towards things. So remember, these systems I was telling you about could be different. I'm just going to go with saying red means like calming, yellow is just right, and green is alerting. Okay. So red might be those proprioceptive, heavy work activities, organizing the brain and body to improve attention. Just right might be some vestibular. Green might be tactile touch activities. But I'm going to go even further, and I'll show you here in a minute. We're almost there. But this is the part where I say we want to teach strategies to adjust that emotional state. What are those sensory needs, right? But it's important to have multiple tools in your toolbox, multiple strategies to get you to that point of regulation. And one might work one day and maybe not the other. Don't discard it all altogether. Maybe just put it aside and kind of bring it back into the loop, maybe in a month or so, and see if possibly it's going to work again. So some of the questions you want to ask, like, what are some of the calming activities that you see work for your students? What are some of the alerting activities that you see? This is, when you're being your private eye, what appears to disorganize your students? So here's that color coding. So I'm going to go with red being the strategy that you need to calm down, slow down, and relax. So these kind of strategies, these sensory inputs, these are what OTs and other professionals say, more likely than not, these will help your child to get calm, slow down, or relax. But remember, it is individual. So maybe for your child, this might work the opposite. So it's all about some trial and error and even doing that sensory profile. So like a rocking chair, a squeeze box, a study place, a swing, especially those net swings, a tent, wrapping in a blanket, sunglasses, like I mentioned, the baseball hat, maybe sunglasses, a weighted blanket, usually 7 to 12 pounds, but only if the child demonstrates adequate awareness of body temperature, motor skills to get out of it, and they have no breathing issues. I always would consult with an occupational therapist. Beanbag chair, maybe one on top of the other, kind of giving that kind of deep pressure. Calming music, cozy corner, deep pressure, some hand exercises, headphones. So maybe that student that was covering their ears, if it was too loud, maybe we can use those headphones. Heavy work, that carrying that backpack full of books, going on errands for the teacher with a crate full of something heavy. Lap or shoulder weights. I've had students that while they're working, they just have a weight in their lap. It's kind of like a long and it's kind of heavy and they just put it over their legs. Pressure garments, weighted vests. Remember, a weighted vest is not something you wear all day long. Again, please consult an OT. Usually have it on for some time and then off for some time. Again, every student is pretty individual. Wrist and ankle weights, again, not all day. This is not to tire a child out. It is to give them that, in this case, that proprioceptive input that they might be needing. A lava lamp could be calming. Okay, so we're using yellow for the just right, focus, pay attention. So maybe some aroma like oils. So you can wear it on a friendship bracelet, a ball pit, belly breathing, laying on your back, placing something light on your tummy and watching it go up and down. So it really focuses on the breathing, the calming, blowing bubbles, board writing, so standing up, or sitting on one of those balance boards, changing positions, some music that's just right as far as the speed that the child might need, a net swing, chew toys, chewies, crash play where you run and you crash into a mat, crawling through a tunnel, desk TheraBand, that could be some TheraBand tied around your chair where the student can either bounce their legs on it. I've also seen students put their legs behind it, almost do like a leg press, straightening out their legs. Drinking with a straw, some exercise equipment, treadmills, stair machines, bike, bands, yoga, a fan, manipulatives, the pop-apart beads, various different things to keep your hands moving. A metronome at 60 beats per minute, that's your resting heart rate. So it can kind of help you get to that just right state. Obstacle courses, pressure pushes, pressing your hands together, push toys, rocking toys, sometimes scented markers, scooter boards. The scrub brush, make sure you get trained in how to use this. I did years ago when I was teaching in Arizona and had some really successful use of this with some students. It was so, so calming. Stability ball in place of a chair, stretching and tugging like a tug of war, trampolines. So now we're going to say green is the, get going, perk up, be alert. So action songs, dancing, happy ball, sitting and bouncing on the ball, jumping, mini trampolines, mouth tools, bouncing on the therapy ball, vibrations of the arms and the hands and the back, running, spinning, controlled spinning, jumping jacks. Okay, so now just some other thoughts about sensory. So students who need movement. So students should try moving before doing seat work. It often helps us with focus. So doing wall push-ups, running in place, running some errands for the teacher, dance, jumping jacks, trampoline, therapy ball, playing on playground equipment. Okay, so here's some ideas. The brain gym. So the brain gym is this program that has 23 brain gym activities. Let's just look at a few. This is called the cross crawl. So each activity provides some kind of a motor movement, but then if you look at it, it'll tell you what it's good for. Postural control, muscle proprioception, vestibular balance, improves balance. Great if you want more energy during an activity that requires visual, auditory, kinesthetic, listening, reading, writing. Wow, what if we do this right before a work activity, right? And by the way, that is not a picture of me, just so you know. I did used to wear pigtails, so. But so doing this type of activity right before you want them to focus. Here's another one, from the same program, positive points. I always like to go all the way down to see what's it used for. When you're feeling stressed out, overwhelmed, or confused. Anytime you just want to calm, helps get rid of negative obsessive thoughts. If you're feeling sad or angry, you can do this activity. And then love GoNoodle.com. They've come such a long way, except for their name. It's called GoNoodle, but it really has a lot of age-appropriate things for young kids and older kids. There's a lot of great different brain breaks, yoga, things that'll rev up and things that'll calm you down. So definitely look at this. It is free, and you can really get some awesome activities that your child or your student can do before work, before they need to focus, or even after, like maybe coming back from gym and they're revved up. So maybe they need to do a calming one. So GoNoodle.com has wonderful activities. It's free. So just remembering that we are always thinking of all of the senses when we're really trying to be our private eye, figuring out what our students' needs might be, right? So we're trying to look at everything and see what they might need more of or what they might need less of. So that's my takeaway on this one, is be a private eye, collaborate with your team as often as possible to see if they're seeing the same things you are. If you can get a sensory profile done by an occupational therapist, that's awesome. Also keep in collaboration with the home to see if they're seeing the same things, or maybe they've figured out something that really, really works with your student. So thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed. Again, I'm Mo Buti at mobuti@hotmail.com, and check out my website. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for watching. For more information on the ATP education program, please visit our website at atp.nebraska.gov/education or email us at atp.education@nebraska.gov.